And welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. So guys, in today's video we're going to be learning how to cut a corset. So you can see it's a cupped corset. I made it very detailed. So these are the fabrics that I'm going to be making use of. So this was after cutting everything. So these are all of my pieces. So the bra cups, I made them myself. Yes, it's a homemade bra cup and they covered really nicely. So we are going to be dividing this video into two. So we'll do the pattern drafting, and then in the next video we'll do the sewing because I don't want to rush it. So the first thing we're going to do, we'll draft the back pattern. So that's my bust line. You can see the lines. That's the under bust line. That's the waist line. And then that's the full length of the blouse that I'm going to be cutting, the corset blouse. Okay, so like I said, we are doing the back pattern first. So the next thing I am doing at this point, I'm just adding my shoulder measurement on that shoulder line. So you divide your shoulder measurement into two, you add your allowance, 1 inch allowance, and then from there you come down by 1 inch and then create your shoulder slope and then your armhole curve. So basically what I'm doing at this point, I'm just drafting a basic bodice top. That's like a basic bodice, and that's what I am doing for the back pattern. So you can use any pattern of your choice. So those are the measurement that I'm using. The bust is 38 inches, and then the under bust is 32, and then the waist is 34. So these are all of the measurements. So use your own applicable measurement. Okay, use your own applicable measurement. And then the hip is 40, so use your own measurement. So divide your measurement into 4 and then you place your measurement. So that's the waist, so that's the hip, that is 40, divide into 4 and then add your stitching allowance and then add that. So I'll take out 1 inch as that. So like I said, for this back piece I don't want to put too much emphasis here. So like I said, we're just doing a basic bodice. Okay, so after that, the next thing I am going to do at this point, I'm going to add a neckline, even though I'm not going to need it because it is an off shoulder corset, but this is just like a guide, so it will help as a guide. So guys, please, if you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. So those are the dart lines, the dart points I'm placing. So I use 4.5 inches as my dart points. That's my nipple to nipple. So that's me taking out the 1 inch for the dart from the back piece. So that's that. I took out that part. So at this point I connected that line, so that line will serve as my chest line, that my armhole line. Okay, so the next thing, this part, I'm going to divide that part into 3. That's the side of the corset, and then I'll rule a straight line. Why am I doing that? Is because I want my corset to have a snatch waist. Okay, so I'm taking out another extra 1 inch of that from that side. Okay, so the same way I did to this side, that's what I did. I took out another extra 1 inch for the dart. So this will help to reduce the waist area for me. And then I curved the down part of my corset blouse. And then the next thing I am going to do now, so we are basically done with our back piece. So I'm going to cut out everything. So I'm just cutting this out. So that yoke part, I'm not going to be using it again. Like I said, I'm not adding a yoke to this. So I label all of the lines. So the next thing, I want to reduce the back of my corset because I want it to have loops at the back, that's eyelets. So I took out about 2.5 inches from the back. So for this, you can take out any amount of fabric, any amount of measurement you want to take out. Depends on how wide you actually want your back area to be. So that is what I did. So the next thing, I'm just cutting out all of these dart lines now. So I'm trying to label the top part so that I will not confuse my patterns when I'm transferring to my fabric. So like I said, if you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. If you want to register for my online classes, you can see I'll put the number on the screen, so you can just get the number, send me a message on WhatsApp. Okay, So we are done. So at this point I'm just trying to put notches. That's my the zip area, even though it does not have a zip, but just notch everything. Okay, so now we're going to drop the front pattern. So for the front pattern, we are using the same measurements. Okay, so that's my bust point line, under bust, waist, and then the hip line, which is like the full length. So the next thing, I'll come to this shoulder part. You divide your shoulder measurement by 2, add 1 inch, and then from there you come down by 1 inch for your shoulder slope, and then you slope that into that shoulder line, and then take half of your armhole measurement. That's for your armhole curve. So for mine, I'm using 8 inches, and then I'll connect the 8 inches. You can see the way I marked the 8 inches straight. So that line now, that first line, is going to serve as my chest line. Okay, so the next thing, I am going to try to create a curve. So I took the middle part of that armhole line, and then I connected it just to create a curve for my pattern. Okay, so even though I'm not going to use that top part, but just use it as a guide, it's easier. And then the next thing, we're going to be taking out our bust pan. So I'll use 4.5 inches, which is our nipple to nipple. 9 inches, you divide that into 2, you have 4.5. So mark all those 4.5, just mark it across all of the lines except my chest line, so you can see what I did. The next thing I am going to do now, at this point, I want to take out, okay, I now extended it. I decided to extend it. Okay, so I'll take out my dart. So I'm using 3 inches of that. So I'll take 2 inches to my right hand side, and then 1 inch to the left hand side. And then after that, I'm going to rule that line. I'll just connect it straight down. Okay, so you can see both line, like I said, 2 inches to the right, 1 inch to the left. So that's for my dad. That's the whole 3 inches, that because I is a corset, I need the cups to be curvy. I need the cup to be cupped. So I created a round curve from that point to the bust point line, and then from this point also I created it, let it hit the bust point line also. Okay, so the next thing I am going to do from that point, I want to work on that chest area, that top part, how covered I want my corset. So I came up by 1 inch from that chest line. So this is what will determine how covered your corset will be, especially if you are making your own bra cups. You know, and since I'm making my own. Okay guys, so the next thing, at this point, I'm just trying to highlight it with a different marker. So I'll highlight it properly. So I'll highlight it properly. And then after that, so I came up, I just came up by 1 inch. So I marked that out that way. So that part, that's where I am going to do the tightening. So it depends on how much up you go. That is what will determine how deep your corset will be. That's how high your corset will be. Okay, so I later reduced it a little bit. So I just took out like another half of an inch from it. So just ignore that line. So when I checked, I saw that the cups will be too long. So that was why. So at this point, I'm using 0.75 to do an over bust tightening for my cups. So you can see, so I took the 0.75 to the both sides. As I took them on the two sides of the corset cups. So after that, the next thing I am going to do now, at this point now, what I am going to do, I want to create out a neckline. Okay, so in order for me to create out that neckline, I am going to check. So from that point, I'll just measure how deep do I want my neckline to be. So for this, I'll use like 9 inches. Or yes, so the next thing, you can see from that point, I came in by like half of an inch. Yes, that's what I did. So I'll show you guys. So you can see I came in like half of an inch. So that half of an inch, I used the straight line. I just marked the straight line up to that point where that 9 inches line. So the essence, I'll show you guys so you can see I'm just using that straight line as a guide. Okay, so from that point now where the neckline is, I'm going to curve this into the cups. So you can see I'll curve it into that first cup, and then go across the top part, the over bust, and then float that into the armhole area. Okay, so you can see, so I'll float it that, so you can see my cups are, the top part of the cups are formed already. The next thing now, I'm going to place this, so that line that I made, I'm going to place my pattern curve like this on it. So first of all, let me use dotted lines so you can see, the dotted lines. So after placing the dotted lines, the next thing I am going to do from that line, I am going to curve that out. Okay, so when I curve that out like this, so you can see I am curving that out, so you can see, so this will help me form. So the next thing I am going to do, I'll check what I have there, the width, and then on this side I'll increase it by half of an inch because the breast is fuller at the side. So just check what you have there and then place it on the other one and just add half of an inch to it, and then I'll curve it. So you can see my corset cups, both of them are nicely formed. Okay, so the next thing, so that part I'm not going to use that top part. The next thing, I'm taking my full body measurement. So you divide your bust circumference, remember your dart, that over bust dart that you took, bring that back into your pattern. Okay, so that it does not get truncated, and then you add your stitching allowance to it at that point. And then the next thing, from this point I'm going to come to my under bust line, divide your under bust measurement by 4 also, and then you place it at that point. And then remember your dart, add the dart also. So I'll curve that in like that. So the next thing I am going to curve here, I'm going to mark rather, I'm going to mark my waistline. So divide my waist measurement by 4, and then I'll add my stitching allowance and everything, and then I'll curve it. So the hip measurement also, I'll divide that into 4, and then I'll add my stitching allowance. So my hip measurement is 40, so I'll divide 40 into 4, that's 10. I'll place it and then bring back the dart just like I did. So the next thing, I am going to create a curve at the down part of my blouse. So I'll mark the length of the blouse, how deep I want the basque area, and then for the side I'm going to mark this back. You know, the back side, that's the length of the back is shorter than the front, so you use your back measurements to place on the side and then curve it into that part to create your basque. And then after that, you can see everything looks okay. So I'll cut this out and then we continue now. So the next thing I am going to do, at this point, we want to tighten the waist area. So for this part, the side, I just came in, you can share, you can divide that into 2 from the side, depends on how many parts you want to add, the boning chambers you want to put. So for this, I'm going to take out 1 inch again from the side of my waist. So this original side also, I'll take out another 1 inch from the side also. So all of this will help me to form, to like cinch the waist of my corset in. So that is why I am doing all of this. So I'll just mark them this way. So you can see what I'm trying to do. So at this point, I'm just trying to connect it, just like cut out my, to take out that extra 1 inch from my pattern to form, to make the waist a little bit smaller. So that is what I am doing. So after that, so this is optional, it's not compulsory that you must add it. You can decide to just still sew your corset, use all of your pattern this way, it will still form well. So please, if you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. Okay, and if you have not subscribed to my channel already, what are you still waiting for? Please subscribe, share my video with your friends, support my YouTube channel, okay? So I would appreciate that. So the next thing now, I am just cutting out the cups, okay? And then I'll cut out the side. Okay, so my corset pattern is ready. These are all of my pieces. So in our next video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to sew this corset. Thank you so much. Like I said, I'm making my own cup, so I'm not using already made back cup.